What is up, everybody? This is Atticus the Death Meddler, and for this video I'm going to be talking about everyone's favorite blonde bimbo military brat conservative bitch that everyone loves to hate on, Tomi Lahren. Now, before I get down onto the meat onto this video, I just want to bring out my personal thoughts and opinions onto Tomi Lahren. Now, I first discovered Tomi Lahren probably around, I think, mid 2015, and really didn't care much about her. My first initial thoughts on the Tomi Lahren was that she was in fact one of those young women that were like, yeah, she's probably from a military family and is pretty much the stereotypical military brat daughter that I've come across when I was in high school. Now, don't get me wrong, I've done 4 years of NJROTC when I was in high school, and trust me, there was a lot of girls that were military brats in ROTC, though. That's the thing. But initially, like, a lot of her videos, I've just seen her as a very abrasive, arrogant, and just a very bluntly straightforward woman and stuff. And most of my friends shared her videos saying, oh, I agree with her, but I saw a lot more resentment on to her saying stuff like this. Duh! Tomi Lahren is such a stupid, dumb bimbo bitch! She's a blonde bimbo bitch, and therefore she's dumb and doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Duh! Tomi Lahren is a fucking Aryan Nazi, and she's literally Hitler, and she would love to suck Donald Trump's dick. Oh, bitch, that blonde bimbo ass bitch don't know what the fuck she's talking about. Tomi Lahren is a stupid conservative bitch! Oh my god, just... everybody loved to fucking hate on this bitch, and I wouldn't be surprised that she is off of the Blaze, which is actually owned by Glenn Beck himself. But surprisingly, Glenn Beck actually ties it in onto this whole debacle. Now, she was at The View, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what The View is like. It's extremely left-leaning, very extremely liberal. You have like people like Whoopi Goldberg on there and Raven Simone and her crazy ass. And, you know, she was invited on there just talking to her and stuff. And basically why everyone is losing their collective shit onto Tomi Lahren is the fact that she said something that goes against every conservative beliefs and stuff, and where she said that she's pro-choice, and she said it in the most dumbest way possible. I will admit this. She went around, I believe, saying like, you can't take away my guns and you can't take away my rights to an abortion and stuff, which, oh my god, it's so stupid.
You also consider yourself pro-choice, which is interesting to me because 68% of conservative Republicans think that abortion should be illegal across the board.
No, I'm pro-choice, and here's why. I am a constitutional, someone that loves the Constitution. I am someone that's for limited government, and so I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and say I'm for limited government, but I think that the government should decide what women do with their bodies. I can sit here and say that as a Republican, and I can say, you know what, I'm for limited government, so stay out of my guns, and you can stay out of my body as well.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for abortion, but I have heard a lot of good arguments from a lot of my co-workers that are conservatives. They're not like the really dumb conservatives that everyone talks about and stuff, but I try to keep an open mind on this topic of abortion and the other stuff and all this jazz. But yeah, there's that on this whole debacle of abortion. I'll go into a later video on that, but from what Tomi Lahren said on there, basically Glenn Beck went on his high horse and gave her a 1-week suspension off of the Blaze for basically just saying that she's pro-choice. Now, I just gotta say this right here. To all the anti-SJWs as well as the conservatives that watch my content, why is it that you're all for free speech, that you're all for diversity into thought, which is what I stand for, but when it's topics like abortion, it's like, nope, we don't want to associate with you. you do what Glenn Beck did, just fucking suspend her and stuff. I mean, aren't you supposed to be diverse with your ideas and stuff? Isn't that what the very foundations of conservatism is? Isn't that what the very fucking foundations of free speech is? Is that unpopular opinions deserve the rights to be protected? Don't get me wrong. I absolutely abhor social justice warriors and regressives, but they do in fact have the rights to say what they have to say. That does not mean that they have like a special barrier protecting them for their fucking speech, which is therefore you challenge them onto their thoughts and shit like that, instead of just going around and just using ad hominem attacks and stuff. For instance, they could talk about Islam as the religion of peace. And many of you know that I have a humongous disdain towards Islam. I like to challenge people on why is Islam the religion of peace? Because Islam has a humongous history of a lot of fucked up shit. And that is why I like to, counter those arguments and stuff. And that's why I make videos against Islam with evidence backed up. And the fact that you are going around doing this to Tomi Lahren for just an opinion that you disagree on, there are some conservatives that are for abortion and some are not. For instance, like, I view abortion as like, basically a woman gets raped or like, due to economic situations, which is very few numbers in fact. But those are the right reasons for abortion. But the other stuff on abortion, I do disagree on. Now, Tomi Lahren, I'm not a big fan of Tomi Lahren as well. I view her as just a typical military brat daughter of like a Army general or a Marine Corps sergeant or something like that. That's what I fucking view Tomi Lahren as. I mean, she's 24 years old and just is pretty fucking dumb. It's fucking hilarious that she was an intern for the Blaze and then she was given a fucking podium by Glenn Beck. I mean, Lauren Southern, even though she was kicked out of the Rebel media, she's doing her own thing and she's doing really fine after that. And also the factor is that she's 21 years old and she is like one of the most clever women I have ever came across, just roasting the fuck out of SJWs. And as I said a couple times, she is wifey material. Also, another thing I like to bring out onto this whole situation, you all do recall on what happened with Malianopolis. Now, don't get me wrong, I used to be a fan of Malianopolis until a bunch of other stuff that he went around made me not follow him that very much. But Malianopolis really did fuck himself over on what he said on where people claim that he was a pedophile sympathizer. And I've seen so many anti-SJWs defend this guy because he was the champion of free speech. He was conservative. He was gay, and he loved to worship Rico Strong and Richard Mann's dicks, wishing that they were both up his ass and shit like that. I don't know where I'm fucking going at that, but yeah. There was one point in the whole Gamergate controversy when it all started off where he got his fame and where he explained that he was all for pro-censorship and stuff. And this was before he became a big rock star. When are we going to actually think for ourselves and actually learn about the people that we look up highly and bring out to a high regard because they roast the fuck out of SJWs? When are we going to learn that some of the anti-SJWs we look up to have had very dark pasts and call them the fuck out over? Granted, I've had quite the quite the political changes during my time, but I am nowhere as near as crazy as what Malianopolis said back in the past, as well as Tomi Lahren speaking about being pro-choice. Those are just my thoughts onto this whole debacle. Aside from all that, closing conclusions over this, people, you have to understand, most people of the anti-SJW and conservative side, mostly the anti-SJWs, because I label myself as an anti-SJW. And the fact that people like my buddy Stoutmeister go around saying anti-SJWs are bad as SJWs, it makes me feel ashamed of being an anti-SJW. When you see stuff like this, call those motherfuckers the fuck out. Saying, like, unpopular opinions are free speech, and we should be all for free speech, whether it is speech we disagree with. And if it's something we disagree with, talk about it. That's all I gotta fucking say. It's all about discussion and debating over your arguments instead of just saying, you disagree with me, that's it, you're done. Because how the fuck are we going to make ourselves better than the SJWs and the regressives that we claim we're against? Because in the long run, they're saying that we're just as much as pussies wanting for our safe spaces, just as much as the SJWs claim to. So yeah, think about it, people. Think the fuck about it. Without further ado, ladies and gents, I am Atticus, the Death Metaler. Hope you like this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are in the description below. Keep it metal. Have a wonderful day.